Over the last 5 years of running my own marketing agency, I have genuinely tried like over 50 tools trying to fix this one specific problem. And that problem is making sure the leads I'm delivering to my clients are actually real leads worth calling. CRM add-ons, phone checkers, email validators, fraud APIs, CAPTCHAs, you name it, I've tried it. Some of it I used for 6 months before realizing it really wasn't doing anything. In this video, I'm breaking down why the whole strap a bunch of tools together approach is fundamentally broken for marketing agencies running local lead gen, why every single one of those tools drops the ball somewhere in your pipeline, and the one software I actually ended up keeping that replaced quite literally all of them. If you're still paying for 4 different SaaS subscriptions and you're still getting that text from your client about bad leads, you're going to want to watch this entire thing. All right, let's get into it. Okay, after burning like a year and $5,000 on tools, here's everything that I've learned about the default stack and why it doesn't work and what I actually did to fix it. So let's jump into it. The Frankenstein stack problem. Every agency owner I know that takes service delivery seriously has built what I like to call the Frankenstein stack. You can call it the duct tape stack, whatever, it means the same thing. It's a bunch of tools duct taped together, each one doing one tiny piece of the lead quality problem, and somehow it still doesn't work. And we'll get into why it doesn't. So market fragmentation. Every tool only solves one slice, forcing you to buy 5 of them and become your own integration team, which no one wants to do. No communication between the tools. So the tools aren't talking to each other. It's giving you one fragment of the pie, and you have to be the one that actually looks at all the different signals and come to your own conclusion on them. So you become the integration layer whether you want to or not. And the compounding cost, the bill grows faster than agencies realize, and the value per dollar drops as you stack more and more and more. The market is built so every tool only solves one slice of the problem, which forces you to buy 5 of them and become your own integration team / plumbing team, where you're doing like a bunch of Zapier automations instead of actually just focusing on the ads. Now, email validators only check the email syntax and deliverability, that's it. Phone validators only check if the number's active. They don't tell you if it's a burner VoIP from a bot farm. And I know there's potentially Twilio that's really good about this, but the other phone validators really aren't. IP checkers only flag obvious VPNs. They don't know if the area code matches the time zone or the zip. Again, there's no talking between all the different signals. Each one is just one standalone signal that you have to go investigate or have your VA investigate. And the result is you have 5 tools, 5 dashboards, 5 invoices, and 0 actual decisions being made automatically. Again, you have to go in and actually make these decisions for yourself, look at the signals, and then send the leads, which kills your lead to speed for the client. If you want to use Argus 101, you can click the link below and use it for free for 14 days, and it takes literally 5 minutes to install, and it actually works. So again, click the link below, and let's get back into the video. Now, none of these tools talk to each other, which is a massive problem, as you can imagine, which is the main problem I've been hitting on this entire time. If the tools aren't talking to each other, you're the one that has to take that information and to actually figure out what's going on, which means you're the integration layer, whether you want to be or not. So the manual reality behind this is your VA is manually checking 3 different dashboards every morning, trying to figure out which leads are good. Or if you're more advanced, you've got a Zapier workflow held together with a prayer that breaks every time one of the new APIs updates, or if there's downtime between the APIs. And this is the worst of both worlds, to be honest. So you're spending $300 a month on tools and still doing the routing manually, paying for automation, still doing the work manually, no single source of truth, and no automated routing decisions. And the bill compounds way faster than most agencies realize. And the value per dollar drops as you stack more and more and more and more and more on top of each other. You get diminishing returns. The email validators, a good one will run you like $50 per month. Same with the phone validator if you have a good one like Twilio. IP checker, that's about $60, a $30 CAPTCHA service, and then a $100 lead scoring add-on that you have to manually build yourself and do all the plumbing for, which is very hard to even have it do it correctly without just triggering tons of false positives. So you're already past the $300 a month mark, and you still don't have automated routing, you don't have client reports, you don't have a single score per lead, and every tool you add has its own learning curve. That's its own support tickets, its own outages, and you don't have one single dashboard that's actually looking at everything all at once. And so why the stack drops leads throughout the pipeline? Even if you somehow got all your tools working together, leads still drop through the cracks at every single handoff between them. And I'm not talking about like a few stragglers, I'm talking about a meaningful chunk of your pipeline disappearing into the void. So if an API handoff happens, or between broken or inconsistent data between tools, the lead can silently fail. And what that is it doesn't receive the actual data from the API. Late checks, validation happens after the submission, or you're only validating leads after they're actually submitted on your form, and that's when the damage has already been done with the pixel. Blind spots, no end-to-end visibility across stages, and pipeline lag delays the drop or stale leads. Now, with the Facebook pixel, kind of what I mentioned, if you're going to go this approach, what I've found works the best is you don't actually put the pixel on your site. And I know that's going to be like the most controversial thing you've heard all day, but it's better to feed it offline conversions that you can verify are real human beings that actually picked up the phone and talked to your client. The Facebook pixel, sometimes more than not, does more damage than it does good. It's incentivized to take those conversions, and then once it has those conversions, all it's doing is feeding the cheapest cost per lead. So that's what Facebook then puts your algorithm in front of, is the people that it thinks are going to be the cheapest cost per lead, so you spend more. Each of these failure points compounds the others, creating a pipeline that leaks leads, costs money, and slows everything down. And moreover, that leads me to my next point, which is every API handoff is a potential failure point. And what can happen is what's called a silent failure, where the API either times out or doesn't pass it to the next API correctly, which causes a silent failure. And what can happen is it can either pass the lead to the next API without actually validating it, or it can silently fail altogether, not pass it, and it gets stuck in limbo. If you have this happen, say your email validator returns a result and then your Zap passes it to the phone validator and it times out, then your API call, it just sits there. And you don't really notice until your client asks, hey, what's happening with the leads today? Did something happen? Or maybe one or two are slipping through the cracks and you're just losing money, essentially. You're just lighting money on fire at that point. And most tools check data after the lead is already submitted. And so this is what I kind of got into with the fact that the Facebook pixel kind of hurts your optimization in terms of your campaign, because you're just feeding it data on who fills out your form, not actually who converts, which is why I recommend instead of using the pixel, you feed it offline conversions. So it optimizes for the type of people that are actually buying your service and actually picking up the phone. So what's already happened? Let's go over this. The lead is in your CRM. The pixel has fired. Facebook has already learned from the fake conversion. At this point, you're at the point of no return. And the real damage is even if you reject the lead after the fact, the damage to your targeting and your cost per lead is already done. You're cleaning up after the fact when you should have been preventing it at the form. And that's why sequential tools still miss the leads that pass individual check but fail when you look at them holistically. So say you have a lead with a valid email, valid phone, a clean IP, but they still filled out the form in 1.2 seconds with zero mouse movement and a mismatched area code. No single tool in your stack would have caught that. It would have just slipped right through the cracks and looked like a real human being with real data submitted it, and you would have never known, and it would have hurt your cost per lead, hurt your pixel, hurt your conversion rate. And the stack gets slower as you add more tools. So a lot of you probably don't know this, but each time you pass an API to another API, it's about 200 to 500 milliseconds of latency, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have like 4 or 5 APIs going one after another, and then a webhook, which sometimes webhooks can take like 5 to 10 seconds to send your lead, you're looking at potentially 12 seconds in between the time they fill out the form to the time your first automation fires and the time that your client can actually reasonably call them. And speed to lead is very important because you want to get them as soon as possible so they don't get into the doom scroll again and forget about you. Because people have attention spans of goldfishes. And if you even leave them for like 5 minutes, they're like, oh, well, I filled that out. And so this is the tool that replaced all of them. And after burning a year and probably 5K on tools that just didn't work, I ended up building my own thing that actually solves this and used it on my clients for 2 years before I turned it into a real functioning product. So what it does is it parallel checks. It runs every check in parallel inside one system, so there are no API handoffs, no Zapier glue, no leaks between the tools. It all happens all at once. There's a behavioral layer. So it watches how the form is being filled while it's being filled. Typing rhythm, mouse movement, pace behavior, scroll patterns. So we can actually detect the person at the form level. Prevention, not cleanup. So what we want to do is we want to check the lead at the moment of submission, not after the fact. The difference between prevention and cleanup. And again, this plays into the fact with the Facebook pixel and why I recommend feeding it offline conversions so it doesn't fire at the submission regardless. And the best part is you're not having 5 different SaaS subscriptions. It's one flat price, replaces every tool in your old stack, and you actually get features none of them offer. Now I want to get into Argus, the one engine, 101 data points in under 150 milliseconds that gets this all done. So all 101 data points fire at the same time the second someone hits submit on your form. So you have the email verification, the scoring and routing, behavioral analysis, phone verification, IP and geocheck, device fingerprinting. And the device fingerprinting is key when it comes to making sure your competitors aren't sabotaging your form, because even if they use a different IP, different phone, different email, different name, you can see it's the same device submitting all the leads. So Argus Verification Hub, it's a central engine connecting to 6 verification types, all happening simultaneously in under 150 milliseconds, which is why the duct tape stack, the Frankenstein stack, could never beat this because it's all taking way too long and nothing's talking to each other. So you get one verdict per lead, one score, one tier, one routing decision, no integration nightmare. And the behavioral layer is what none of these other 50 tools could do. So all these tools, they can do you can find a tool that does a phone validator, email validator, IP checker, but none of these tools offer actual behavioral biometrics, which is how someone fills out the form, fingerprinting their device, and actually tracking people between different locations. So it's a layer that catches what every other tool misses. What Argus watches while the form is being filled is the typing rhythm, the mouse movement, the pace behavior, the scroll patterns, and much, much more. I can't get into all the signals because obviously that's protected IP, but you get the point. It's tracking literally every interaction someone is taking on your form page. To do this, you have to literally be on the page during the submission, which is structurally impossible for an API-only tool to do. And why this matters is this is why the lead with the valid email, valid phone that took 1.2 seconds to fill out gets caught here and gets shipped everywhere else. So you can actually detect when someone is just giving you real looking information, but they have a script running that automatically fills in this information and they have no intention of ever buying your product or service. And the nice thing is, one flat monthly price replaces every single tool. Plans start at $197 a month with full 101-point verification on every single lead. What it replaces of email validator, phone validator, IP checker, CAPTCHA service, basic scoring tool, and what you also get is per client routing, white label forms, exportable verification reports, real dashboard, you get zip code intelligence, you get device actual fingerprinting, you get device information, so that was it a mobile device, was it a computer, what are the specs on the mobile device, what are the specs on the computer, and this makes it really easy to narrow down when you have a competitor or someone just trying to intentionally sabotage your pixel. As you can see, okay, clearly it's the same device that's submitting all this garbage, so I'm not going to send any of it to my client, and I'm not going to give it to my pixel as an offline conversion, So $197 a month versus over $300 a month for a stack that doesn't give you automated routing, client reports, or a single score per lead. Now I want to get into why every local agency owner needs this. It's a non-negotiable in the big 2026. If you run paid traffic for local service businesses, think roofer, dentist, med spa, solar, home services, it's a non-negotiable now. Your specific corner of the agency world is the most exposed. And the reason for it being the most exposed is there's the most incentive to actually sabotage you. Since these leads have such a high value, your competitors are ruthless. They don't care how you feel. They will sabotage your pixel, make you perform like crap, and then poach your client. And as the smallest margin for error, Local Legion has the smallest margin for error of any agency vertical because every single lead, like I just said, is high value. The competitor sabotage is through the roof. Clients fire you fast. They, as soon as that little 2-month lock-in contract ends that you had them in, they're out the door. They're gone. Bye. So local clients are most likely to fire you because the local business owner, usually most of the time, if they're not that big of a business, they're the ones actually taking the calls, and they don't want to deal with someone answering the phone going, I never signed up for this. Who are you? What are you talking about? Or they just don't answer the phone at all, and now they're bugged, and they think that your whole service isn't great. And reporting wins renewals. The reporting layer is what wins you the local client renewal, and the Frankenstein stack literally cannot produce one because think about it. You'd have to go to all 5 of your different tools dashboards, screenshot that one specific lead, put it in a Google Doc, and then actually make sense of the information and show it to your client for each individual lead. And if you're doing volume, that just is going to take so much time. It's not even you're going to have to get a VA to do specifically just that day in and day out. And that brings me to my next point. Local lead value makes every bad lead expensive. And what I mean by this is if your client is wasting time calling leads that don't exist and fundamentally never wanted to be called because someone took their information and put it on your form through a script or through a VA, they are going to start doubting your service as a whole. And I want to talk about this seriously because think of it like this. You're a roofing owner who is personally taking these calls after hours because your team goes home and you don't have a giant team. So they don't have someone that's a 24/7 call support person or whatever. So they're the ones actually taking these calls. And when they call these leads you're sending them and they are either A, not answering, or B, are who is this? I didn't sign up for your service because some VA or some script took their information, put it on your form, and now you're dealing with the brunt of it, and it also ruined your pixel. What you're dealing with here is a very frustrated individual who is not going to recommend you to anybody and actually tell his buddies that he had a horrible experience with your agency. And a lot of these guys, like the worst part about this is a lot of these guys are super excited as soon as you sign them on. They're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be great. They guaranteed me X amount of leads. We're gonna actually grow, and this is gonna put me in a good spot to actually hire new people and get to that next step in business. And then they start calling your leads and they just doubt everything, and you completely burn the bridge. Local clients do not have a sales department to absorb the pain of the bad leads. The owner feels every single one of these personally, which is why they're real quick to fire you, because they get real sick of it real quick. And competitor sabotage is real, and you can't prove it without behavioral data. So a lot of people I talk to, when I ask this question, like, how many of your competitors are actually sabotaging your form and how many are bot submissions? They're like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we have that kind of a problem. And it's like, well, how would they know? They aren't seeing like the behavioral data between the form fill. They aren't seeing the device fingerprint that keeps submitting the same like 5 leads every other day. And even if it's not the same 5 leads, it's different leads under the same device. You can't see this without actually fingerprinting the device itself and tracking it down. So most people, they have no idea this is even a thing, and they wonder why their conversion rate sucks so bad. It's like, you're being sabotaged, and you don't know because you don't have device fingerprinting. And the reporting layer is what wins you the renewal. So a local client needs to see the proof they're getting real leads, especially when they're spending over $5,000 a month with you. Think of it, your retainer's $2K, they're spending $3K on ads. They need to see that ROI somewhere. They need to see, okay, money in, money out. And what they want to see is the total leads, full count of every lead submitted through your funnels in the reporting period, the verified rate, so how much time are you actually saving them by not sending them straight shit, and the average score. So what's the mean score? What's kind of like the score quality that we're getting from this campaign? Would it be better to run Facebook ads or Google ads? And you can kind of see the mean quality score between each campaign and determine which one you should spend more ad spend on. And the breakdown of the rejection. So again, this makes you look like a superhero because you're showing them why you didn't send them this particular lead, because it would have wasted their time and it would have made them really pissed off. None of your 5 tools combined can give you that report, which is why local agencies on the Frankenstein stack keep losing clients, while agencies running Argus keep them on retainer and keep them for way longer and can actually charge more because they're delivering a premium service. What a premium service is you're not wasting their time, you're sending them good leads, and they're getting an ROI. And a good way to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about is just showing you, because I know I've been yapping a lot, so let's just kind of show you so you can kind of see it top down. So with the Frankenstein stack, you have over 5 tools, 5 dashboards, 5 invoices, over $300 a month, manual routing, no unified report, API failures, post-submission checks, and no behavioral layer. And we've already gone into why the behavioral layer is so important. It's actually so you can detect competitors or sabotage or scripts. And these are all things that are becoming more and more rampant. With Argus, it's one system, one dashboard, one invoice, $197 per month, automated routing, exportable verification reports on every single lead, no API handoffs, submission time prevention, and full behavioral layer, which will give you all that data that you desperately need. So one system, one bill, one decision per lead, built specifically for agencies running ads for local service businesses where the margin for error is 0 and you can get fired like that. This is one system, 101 data points, all checked in parallel inside one engine in under 150 milliseconds with one bill and one decision per lead, which makes it super straightforward for client reporting, so you can actually show them and then show them the breakdown. So that's the whole case. One system, one bill, one decision per lead, built specifically for agencies running ads for local service businesses. If you're a marketing agency and you're running ads for local service businesses and you have like 5 different tools that are still letting bad leads through, this is the easiest win you'll have this year. If you want to use Argus for free for 14 days, click the link in the description and try it for yourself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.